podcast. Today, we got some real steps to success. I want to do a deep dive on the breakdown of a wholesale deal. So we're going to go from cold lead to closed deal. And I know it sounds catchy, but it's a real thing, right? When you get a wholesale deal, guys, you have to understand that you don't just get a wholesale deal. Like it doesn't just come out of thin air. Like you have to work for it. There's processes, there's steps that you have to take before you get that deal, right? So it doesn't just come to you out of nowhere. It comes to you through work, through processes, and we're going to go through that step by step today. I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds to join. Go ahead and join. Hit that like for the algorithm, and also be sure to spread the word because I can tell you when I was coming up, yo, I didn't know too much about like the process of a wholesale deal. I just thought it sounded cool to close a wholesale deal, right? I first heard about the wholesaling on the Breakfast Club. I'm watching a Breakfast Club. A guy by the name of Mark Witten was on there back in March of 2019. He came on and explained wholesaling real estate, was basically you get a property from one person, right? So you actually get the property under contract. Now, within the inspection period, so 10, 15-day, 30-day, at that time, this was like 6 years ago. So it was 30-day inspection period was common, 2018. So this being said, 30-day inspection period, within those 30 days, you sell it off, you assign the contract to an end buyer. That end buyer is your final investor. So that is the idea of wholesaling real estate. You make the difference, whatever that difference may be. So you make, if it's 5,000, you get 5,000. If it's 10,000, you get 10,000. If it's 20,000, you get 20. If it's 60,000, you get 60. If it's 100,000, you guessed it, you get 100,000. So that's the beautiful part about wholesaling real estate, bro. It's really a way for people to make a major change in their lives, right? Like you can do wholesaling real estate, make a major change in your life, come from college, can be a college dropout, it don't matter what you my bad, y'all. It don't matter what you are. You can be a college dropout, you can be like I was college dropout. Sorry, I say that. College dropout, play football, ex college player. If you play college football, then that's even better for you, right? Like if you play football, or if you play like any kind of sport, whatever the sport is, it's even better for you because now you're in a position where you already got the character that it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur. Real estate aside, it takes character to be successful as an entrepreneur because you don't have anybody looking over you. It's the same as if you play sports, right? Like, of course, you're gonna have people looking at you when you're at practice, but what you do, the 22 hours when you're outside of practice, the 21 hours outside of practice and with your team, what you do during that time depends and dictates if you're able to contribute during those 3 hours or 2 hours a day, right? So that's where I learned my discipline from when it comes to wholesaling real estate and when it comes to just being a entrepreneur, right? So what I'm going to do for you guys today, and man, is just go ahead and like I said, break this all the way down because it's a real difference. It's a real thing when it comes to this wholesaling real estate process. It's a process. You don't just come up with a deal. Like it doesn't just come like that. Now, what I'm about to take you guys through, this comes as a result of time and effort that I put in over years and me learning this. This didn't come overnight. So please enjoy this. If you get any value from it, please go ahead and hit the like button and be sure to share with your friends or whatever. But this is, like I said, from years and years of work. Is what this comes from, trial and error, right? So from all the trial and error that I've experienced, I've come up with this real estate sales cycle, and also like on a complete separate note, like give a shout out to the place I used to work at. Yo, I used to work at this place. This is perfect. Actually. I used to work at this place, and they were actually I like to be seen a little bit. I'll show you boy a little bit. I'm looking good. I know we're gonna switch it up, yo. All right, all right, here we go. So I worked at this place, and it was a sales position. This was the first time me ever experiencing like a sales cycle or like anything when it comes like I just knew I'm a big stepper. Like I just hustle. That's what I do, right? But when it comes to what makes a company successful is that they put systems and processes in place. Now I'm actually in the process of hiring my first cold caller. This won't be my first cold call. I've hired a cold caller before back in years ago. Like I've been doing this for a minute. I hired one years ago. I basically invested $2,000 into them, but then they got me no return. So I just stopped completely investing into the cold call process and I picked it up myself, which, as you know, as I explained plenty of times, it's a difference between building a business it's a difference between building an actual business and just having a hustle. Me doing it myself, like I've done it, for the years, it's a hustle. But the thing about a hustle is when it's great, it's amazing. But when it's horrible, it's bad, and you may not feel like you have the fuel to keep going. So with that being said, you look better working on it from a bird's eye view being a business, because we work on it from a bird's eye perspective, being a business. Now you're able to, do this, do that, do this, do that, meaning that you're able to work on the business instead of just working on the process, right? You're able to manage the business. You're able to make sure your cold callers are calling, your leads, your data, make sure everything is running like it's supposed to be running, right? That's the biggest thing. So here we go, guys. I'm about to go ahead and jump into this, man. Real estate cold call sales cycle. All right. So you guys tuning in, whether you're watching this on playback or whatever it may be. Um, 1 second, make sure we sounding right. Make sure we sounding right. All right, we good, we good. All right, so we about to break this down step by step, yo. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Let's get right into it. Without further ado, here we go. Real estate cold call sales cycle. Now, the reason why this is the real estate cold call sales cycle is because there's multiple ways to get a lead, right? You can get a lead from direct mail, from other investors, from there's so many different ways, right? Now, to stick on the aspect of you getting now, not to say other, you can get a lead from another investor, but there's a difference between getting a lead from another investor and you actually cultivating the lead. I'm a big proponent on being the one cultivating the lead. You as the investor, you as the wholesaler watching this, you're not just in this to wholesale real estate. Like you're in this to build a real estate investment company. That requires you building certain processes, and showing people that you hire what the process is, so they have a greater understanding on what they're working for and what they're working towards, right? Now that process is like this. This is a process, guys. This is something that, like, please screenshot it, whatever you need to do, because when you hire people, when you're a real estate company, they need to know what happens. When do I get paid? Especially if they're working on commission, right? They're working on commission, they know when they get paid. If they're just a cold caller, they need to know, what results in this call. Are you not just calling somebody to see if they're selling their house? You're calling somebody because we have to get to here. Now, what happens before we get to closing day, right? All of this. So now I'm about to unpack it. All right. So the first thing, lead generation. Lead generation is the number one thing, right? So as I kind of explained to you guys before, there's a difference between because I said you can get leads from other investors, right? So like don't think of it like that, because that isn't this different ways to do real estate. Like there's no one right way to do real estate. This is just my way that I've done it, and this is the way that I feel like should be done, because my ultimate goal is to be able to build a real estate investment company, meaning that I have first say so to the lead. I don't have another investor standing in my way. I don't have another middleman. I'm already a middleman. I don't want another one, right? So that's my biggest thing. So in order to do that, we have to actually organically generate our leads, right? So what does lead generation look like? That looks like driving for dollars. That looks like cold calling. This is a cold call thing, right? That looks like pulling lists. Excuse me, not cold calling, but we'll get to there. But basically, driving for dollars, SEO marketing, um, driving for dollars, SEO marketing, bandit signs, and I feel like I'm missing one, but those are pretty much your main ones, right? So these are, you got county data, you got your prop streams, you got all these different lead sources. That's what you think about with lead generation. It's the source of the lead. Where are you getting this lead from? Now, mind you, I'm speaking about actual lists, right? Like these are actual lists that you can get and cultivate it. The reason why I'm speaking about list or driving for dollars or anything else is because then you have to go and format that lead, right? Now, what do I mean by formatting a lead? What I mean by formatting the lead is that you have to go and put the lead in a you have to basically find out where I'm trying to bring this up for you guys. I should have this already. But basically, you have to go ahead and put the lead where it needs to be. When I say put it where it needs to be, it means that does the lead needs to be, excuse me. You have to find the name. All right, here we go. Thank you, guys. All right, here we go, y'all. Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen. So check this out. This is what I mean by formatting your leads. Owner first name, owner second name. This is like the owner's name, right? And then if you had a phone number, then great, but whatever. Property address, property city, property state, property zip code. Now, this is all you need if you want to use like a batch dialer, or excuse me, batch skip tracing, or like REI skip or anything like that. You really only need the property address because they'll pull out the mailing address, right? But what you also will have, and this isn't the exact one, but you get the gist of what I'm going here, because what you also have is the same thing. It'll say mailing address, mailing city, mailing state, and mailing zip code. The same exact thing. But oftentimes, all you need is this, right? Because there's usually two owners on it, unless there's a what's them call it. Usually two owners, unless there's not. two owners, right? So let me actually stop sharing that because they be tripping. But there's usually two owners on it. If my bad, y'all. All right. So there's usually two owners on it, unless there's like a single owner, or if there's like a LLC who owns it or anything like that, right? So if it's that case, then you're all right. But this is gonna actually annoy me if I don't bring the right one for you guys. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. All right, so this is my organic bulk trace, as you see, like up there in the thing. Organic bulk trace. Now, what does that mean? You may be wondering. Organic bulk trace just means this is how. Uh, this is if you were to bulk skip trace somebody. Now, keep in mind, like I said, these days all you need is the property address, property city, zip code, and you'll be fine, right? But these are all like people that I've just like either organically got these leads, driving for dollars or something like that. So I skip trace them through here versus getting them through like what's called a prop stream, or through other forms. This is people that tax delinquent lists, other things like that, right? So this is all data that we have to go in and format. So now you hopefully understand what I mean. Like, look, you guys can see this is just nothing but formatted data. So you don't see any numbers. Like how you saw in that last one, you saw numbers there, right? You don't see any numbers here because this isn't. Actually, some of them you do, but the only reason why is because that's how I call them. But for the most part, this is bulk skip tracing. So I skip trace 50 to 100 of them at one time. Basically, this is what that means, right? All right, good. So now that that's understood, let's go ahead and head back here, yo. So when it comes to, shut this up. When it comes to formatting leads, we want to format them because we want to skip trace them, right? Now, when we skip trace, we get all the numbers back. But now when we get those numbers back, guys, we have to make sure we scrub it against a do not call registry. In the United States, and as real estate, as wholesaling specifically, has become more like known about, it's just since I've been in the game. Like, mind you, I've only been in the game since 2018, really since 2019 full time, but 2018 is when I first discovered it. It took 9 months to get my first wholesale deal. Closed the first one in February of 2019, right? So this being said, though, scrub it against the do not call registry. It's become more prominent and more important as time going by, because now there's people out there, and this is actually news to me. One of my guys just told me about this. There's people out there right now that are actually going and basically taking basically they're out there actively pursuing, like actively marketing lawsuits, right? So like if they got somebody you call and then they get your information, they're like, I'm D'Angelo, my company is this company, my cell phone number is this number, I'm located here. Now they got all the information they need to press charges against you if they were already registered on the do not call register. Let me not say press charges. That sounds crazy, but not press charges, but to do a lawsuit, right? They can sue you, they can fine you, right? And the fines are, I believe, 5 to 10,000 per occurrence. So if you call the same number 5 times, then you're going to be paying $25,000 to $50,000 because they can fine you every time you call them if they're registered on the do not call registry. Now I'm gonna give y'all some free game right here, bro. Like, take it, do it as you please. But so one thing I've done to combat this, and it's just me being transparent, because all the time, guys, you don't have the money to scrub against a do not call registry. Like, that's just being realistic. If you're just starting off on this business, you're not going to want to spend, like, it'd be like 100 leads for like $10, 100 numbers for like $10 scrubbing up against a registry, bro. Do you understand you can get like 3 numbers per person? So there's so much money that you can spend scrubbing up against a do not call registry. I'm actually looking for another one because I've done it before, but like I said, I don't like it, and I do this instead, right? And this is like I said, this is free game. So I talked about this with my guy the other day, but it's kind of something I've already implemented, right? So I noticed about a year or two ago, I would have people start asking me like, okay, this is how you know if somebody's like on the do not call registry. They'll start asking me like, I'll be like, hey, no, this is D'Angelo. I'm calling with, XX properties. Just, did I catch you at a bad time? They're like, no, why are you calling? Like, just seeing if you're interested in selling your property. Well, who are you with again? I'm with XX properties. Okay, where are you guys located? I'm located in Milwaukee. Oh, okay. And then what would you say your phone number is? What's the number you're calling on? Oh, okay. And you guys where are you buying that? Oh, okay. The thing is, guys, naturally, like I said, it started happening like a few years back, but not when I first got into the game. When I first got into the game, I was able to have like a year or two where I'm able to now As soon as I talk to somebody, they start asking me these questions, then you're not answering my questions. Thus, I don't control the conversation. If you're familiar anything about me when it comes to real estate, you got to control the conversation. That's the only way you're going to be successful in real estate. I mean, it's much like, I'm not gonna go there, but the point is you need to control the conversation. If you can't control that conversation, then you're going to be the one controlled and end up revealing more than you probably planned on revealing, right? So when you're on the phone, you need to learn how to read tone. You need to learn how to read. First off, you need to learn that you're always in control. And if the moment you feel like you're not in control, you might as well hang up the phone call, right? And the reason I say hang up the phone is because this is what can be happening. If you're answering those questions that they're giving you, then now they have all the information they need to file a do not call, fine, complaint, or whatever it is to the FCC. And when that happens, now they're knocking at your door. How that conversation should go, as soon as you ask the question, hey, this is D'Angelo with XXX Properties. Just seeing it, did I catch you at a bad time? And she's like, no. Okay, just call and see if you're interested in selling the property on 123 Main Street. Well, who are you again, D'Angelo? I'm with XXX Properties, but are you interested in selling that property on 123 Main Street? XXX Properties. I've never heard of you guys. Are you from Milwaukee? Are you from this? Well, I'm just calling to see if you're interested in selling a property on 123 Main Street, Mel. Well, are you from here? Because I just want to know if you're from here. Well, I'm actually from here. I don't say where I'm actually from. I almost never do, unless I got the vibes of the conversation, unless they're complying with me, unless they're like, yeah, this is the property I do want to sell. Unless we've already built rapport, I might just give you that first one. Yeah, I'm from Vegas. Oh, wow, people in Vegas buying out here now. Okay, I didn't know that. The market is so crazy out here. Okay, and then D'Angelo, what was your last name? Now, mind you guys, when that happens, you don't need to know my last name. Mel, are you interested in selling this property? Well, if you could just answer these questions, click. You have to understand, guys, this is chess, not checkers. When you plan this real estate game, guys, you're playing with thousands of dollars. You're playing with people's livelihood. Some people feel like, unfortunately, wholesalers are predatory, right? Like they feel like we're predators, right? If you're wholesaling real estate, you're a predator. If you're a real estate investor, you're a predator because you want to capitalize on other people's downfall. Now, with that ideology and knowing that this is the perception, even though we know that's not true, we're providing a ton of value, right? We're providing a ton of value to people who are needed, or whether they need to sell their property fast or they may be in the pickle for whatever reason, right? With that being said, we're providing value. There's other people that don't look at it like that. So now what's happening is these sellers are getting smart. So them asking these questions, these should be like antennas in your head, right? So the same way I'm training you like this, it's the same way. Again, this is all from I'm hiring a co-caller. So like I'm doing it completely different. I'm making sure I got so many things in place to the point where like, yeah, we're going to be, doing stuff for the few days that I'm got them. I probably train them for like, I don't know about the that, but my point is we're going to be training the sessions, but I want them to be taking this home, ideally, and studying this, becoming this, knowing this. I want them to understand this, right? Because you have to understand this, especially with the person who's your first line of contact. If you hire a cold caller, they're your first line of contact, which means that they're representing the company, right? And that leads me to my thing that I've said before. And what company are you with again, D'Angelo? I'm with XXX Properties. Guys, I feel like I'm telling y'all too much. I almost never say my real LLC. Like I almost never say my real LLC until I send a contract. And there's a few reasons why, right? So for one, it's because, like I said, a few years ago, I noticed this DNC thing becoming real. So I stopped saying my LLC. I just stopped it. I'm not about to say my LLC. I'm not going. I'll just make up a whole different name. So I made up a whole different name, and it helped out because a lot of there was people. I got your information. Now I'm giving it to the FCC. I got da. So then once I started getting, I've got your information. I'm giving it to the FCC. I stopped saying exactly where I live at unless they're on my protocol, right? Now I can be honest. I don't even be caring. Like if I'm in a virtual market, like my main market, right? Cincinnati, Ohio. If you've been rocking with me, you know that, right? My main market, Cincinnati, Ohio. I tell them that I don't live there. I tell them I'm born and raised there. I talk to them about all the city, all the area. I know all the areas because I was born and raised there. I just don't live there. My point is, a person who's really willing to rock with you, a seller who's really willing to rock with you, they don't care about that, right? Like they're like, okay, I'm just happy building this conversation. But a seller who's on the defense, who's playing this offense versus defense, they're going to be trying to get more information from you than they're looking to give out. And remember, the only time this can happen is if you don't control the conversation. So you, as a new real estate investor who may be watching this, I know I spent a ton of time on this, but that's only because like this scrub against DNC, you may not have the money to invest into that, right? And like, don't get it twisted. Like I keep my overhead relatively low for I just several ways I've been able to keep it relatively low for a long time, right? But part of that is me not being able to scale, which is now I'm in a scaling phase, and I'm planning on, and my overhead is going to be increasing, but I just want to make sure that I'm planning it out so much and I'm taking into account for all the possibilities, even though there's going to be more things that pop up, right? But I understand what I did before that I didn't do now. So you watching this, whether you're a new investor starting off or you're somebody who's about to hire your first cold caller or whoever it may be, right? If you're a new investor starting off, understand that you don't have to scrub against the DNC. You probably hear a lot of people telling you this. You don't have to scrub against the DNC. Just as long as you remember to don't say your real company name at all. Like, don't ever say your real company name. Don't say your LLC name. If you have an LLC, don't say the name of the LLC until it's under contract. And the way you describe that is, yeah, well, that's our holding company. We hold our properties, and this is just what we do business as. If you have a savvy investor, they'll even understand that, right? Because there's a difference between DBA and your LLC. Your DBA is doing business as. Your LLC is your actual LLC, right? So that being said, that's all you have to say. So if you say you got on the phone with somebody, you buying a property from John, you told John that your company name was XXX Properties. But when you send the LLC, he sees that your company name is Dinosaur Properties, right? So he's like, wait a minute, D'Angelo, you told me this is XXS Properties. Why is this Dinosaur Properties on the LLC, on the purchase agreement? Well, John, we do business as XXS Properties, but we close our properties out in our Dinosaur Properties. And then sometimes we have to switch it to another one just because of, my partners. What you do right there is you prep them, because 9 times out of 10, you're not buying a property, right? Unless you are buying a property, then it's great. But if you're not buying the property, then you're prepping him to know that, hey, when you sign the HUD statement on the opposite line, you're not going to see Dinosaur Properties either. You're not going to see Dinosaur Properties. You're going to see, closed deal ENT LLC, whatever it may be, right? So you want to see the actual end buyer. Now, if you guys, understand the closing process correctly, you make sure that you got a separate HUD statement, because that HUD statement does not show your assignment fee only to the buyer, right? So a separate HUD statement, split HUD, means seller sees their HUD, buyer sees their HUD. But that's how you get rid of that. All right. Now, if you got a new cold caller, your first cold caller that you're hiring, my biggest advice that I'm going to be training my cold callers on is that they don't even know the name of the company. Yo, my cold callers don't even know the name of the LLC that we close in, bro. You got to understand that, because what happened to me throughout the years is that sometimes I start tripping up, right? I started being like, yo, I start saying my real company name is what I'm saying. Because it takes, if you have this real company name that you're talking about all the time, and then you have to just switch it for like 2 hours a day while you're cold calling, that can be kind of challenging to like do that. So sometimes I slip up and say the real company name when I'm not supposed to. And then sometimes I just say the name, because like I said, if the rapport is built and if you're following my lead, being the seller, if you're following my lead, what I put out there, then, we good, we rocking, right? So that being said, your new investors that are any investor watching this and you're hiring cold callers, give them your DBA name, give them a name, just whatever that name may be. And just kind of a quick story. I told you guys I was reading the workforce for a little bit, right? I had a insurance company that I was applying to, right? Now with that insurance company, I was, you apply to the job, you're trying to figure out who you're working for, who it is or whatever, right? So the insurance company, the job application that I applied for had the name of one company, right? I looked on LinkedIn, I found the company page, right? And I was like, okay, like it was a small company, didn't have anything, but like this insurance opportunity was so big. So I'm like, how the hell is this? This don't even add up, right? So I go to the actual interview, and there's this, if you guys are familiar with sales, there's a big sales meeting in the beginning. They pumping everybody up. You can make, millions of dollars a year, showing $1 million checks, all type of dope stuff, right? It was dope. That being said, though, at the end of that meeting, they think about it, whatever. I go home. I get there, I end up finding out that the actual name of the company that I applied for was different than the name of the company itself. When I go home and research why, it's because the name of the company itself had horrible reviews, like horrible reviews, versus the name of the company that they had you apply to. It basically, you didn't see anything except for like a LinkedIn page, like a small LinkedIn page, like 2 followers, like nothing. You basically saw nothing. My point is, they knew what they were doing. There's ladders that you get to until you actually understand the core of our business. I'm not going to tell you the core of my business if I'm not in business with you. That's kind of the ideology there, right? So you, again, hiring a cold caller, they don't need to know the core of your business. You put everybody in place. That way, they don't need to understand fully the entire thing. They can see this, still show this to them. Let's so they understand, if you got them on like $8, $10 an hour plus, 10% commission or whatever it may be. So that way they can understand all the hurdles that you have to go through. But that being said, understand that you teach them, you tell them the first name that they hear is not your real company name. The first name that they hear, because they always want to, that's just human nature. We go back to the first name we hear. Now we have to relearn. You don't want to relearn. I've had to reteach myself my fake company name. And I've accidentally, times when people like, no, what did you say the company name was? I've accidentally said my real name, right? So that's just, like I said, that's a little just ninja tip for you guys. It's really big though. If I was you, I would take it, right? All right, so now this is where things get kind of interesting here. Cold calling the lead is next, bro. Hold up, big steppers. I'll be right back. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hold up. All right, I'm back. Shit, I got hot. I had to turn on my AC, bro. The be this light be beaming on me and shit. All right, AC is on. All right, so yes, definitely this light. This shit is beaming. All right, so cold call the lead. Scrub against the do not call list. Cold call the lead is what's next. After you cold call the lead, now only it's like one of three things can happen when you cold call the lead, right? So now if you're the person cold calling this, again, if you're the person on the front line, this is you calling. If you have your worker, they're the one who's calling, right? And I try to refrain from saying workers. I'm always a big team member guy with anybody that I work with. I call them my team members instead of my employees. That's just a camaraderie thing. Anyway, cold call the lead. That air starting to come on. I feel good. Cold call the lead. All right. So if they don't answer, leave a voicemail. Self-explanatory, right? They don't answer, leave a voicemail. If they answer, you qualify the lead. If it's disconnected, when that happens, you ring the phone and they're like, this number is disconnected. You boom, hang up and you delete them from your system. Now they're deleted all the way entirely from the system, right? So that's the ideology there. Now we're going to go into first the no answer route. Now, if they don't answer, what you do is you leave a voicemail. So you leave a voicemail, but you don't just stop there. You put them on a follow-up plan, guys. So much money is made here. I'm sure you've heard it time and time again, especially when it comes. Don't matter what business, any sales business. I've had the opportunity to work, 3 different sales position job, well, 2 different sales position jobs. And one, this isn't the job, this is the lifestyle. It's different. But 2, the sales position jobs that I was able to get into, it was the same thing. Follow up. I was able to close deals from the follow-up. All right, follow-up. Now we're going to go disconnected. You delete them from the system. Simple, right? Now here we go. Cold call lead, answer. They answer, you qualify that lead. What does qualifying the lead look like, right? Now, this is where you as a stepper, you as a business owner, you as an entrepreneur, you have to form your own process. You have to figure out what makes sense, right? So now if you're the person on the front line, you're going to be cold calling, qualifying them all the way through. You're going to do it from the beginning to the end because you're the front line, right? You're the person, right? But if you're not the person on the front line, right? Say you're the cold caller. If you're the actual, make sure I got it. All right, I have to make sure. If you're the cold caller, then you're the person that you're the first person that the people talk to. But granted, there's a difference between a cold caller and an acquisitions manager, right? So now the reason I'm hiring a cold caller, just kind of give you guys insight on my life right now. The reason I'm hiring a cold caller is because I want them to just give me leads so that they're already qualified, right? Now, my qualification process is going to look different than your qualification process. My qualification process, when it comes to my cold callers that I'm hiring, the only thing they need to say is, hey, this is, Dynamic Properties. That's not my real property name, or that's not my real LLC name. But my point is, I'm just thinking of a name, whatever it'll be for them. But hey, this is Dynamic Property. We are, we're buying property. Hey, this is Dynamic Property. Bruce, I'm calling about the property on 123 Main Street. Did I catch you at a bad time? They'll say, no, you didn't catch me at a bad time. Why are you calling? Well, I'm just calling because that property on, Main Street, our company's buying the area, just seeing if you're interested in selling. Well, actually, I'm interested in selling. Oh, great. Okay. And when's a good time I'm going to get this information over to when's a good time for us to call you back? I only want it right there. Now, granted, there's going to be a few other things that's going to happen. There's going to be a few other things, small things, but the basis of it is I only want it right there. Yes, no. Now, Me as the acquisitions manager coming in, I'm gonna come in and be like, yo, I'm saying, what's up, Bruce? You talked to Sarah earlier today, or whatever her name is, right? And my first co-caller that I hired, it was a man. He was Hispanic. This time I'm definitely going with a woman. Women just got a soft voice, pleasant voice. Men are my primary clients. Primarily who I buy property from is men. Men are more likely to listen to a woman just a few more seconds, especially if they have a nice voice. So they got to have a nice voice. Like having a nice voice as a woman in sales is underrated. Like, I don't think, if you're not in sales, like, you don't understand how, like, it's so important, guys. It's so important. That's what, like, I mean, just think about yourself. If you a guy watching this, if you do listening, like, you're not about to listen me on the phone, what up, bro? Like, so I don't talk like that. My point is, you're less likely to listen to me just those couple more seconds. Granted, I have, skills that I do, but my point is, women work. All right. So after I've got them qualified, that's all I'm teaching them. Just get right up to that small point, right? Just get right up to that small point. I don't need you to do nothing else. And that's another story. Another small story about that is because when I hired, or when I first was about to, I knew I was done with the last job that I worked, and I was just like trying to figure out what I should do next. And I decided that I might get into the wholesaling, back into wholesaling full time, but I wanted to work for a company, a larger wholesaling company, right? A lot of the jobs that I saw available were acquisition manager roles. Now, I myself knew I was, overqualified through a lot of stuff. But the point is, I just was looking to get on the ground floor just so I can reignite that energy that I have for the business, right? At that point, I knew the other industry just wasn't for me. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get in on the ground floor. I'm gonna work my way up, blah, blah. I already know all this stuff. I know all of this, right? So I get to this interview. I get to the third round of the interview. The guy who's the owner of the company, they did like 2 million a year in sales, probably like 1 million in net profit. Point is, he took me through a round robin, a little play action, a little a little role play, right? So he takes me through a little role play, and I'm doing the role play. I'm like, hey, this is D'Angelo, da 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 da. So imagine I'm applying for an acquisition manager role. I take him through the role play, and I'm like, just call and see if you're interested in selling property on Main Street. Did I catch you at a bad time? Like, no, da. And he started saying some things and blah, blah, blah. My point is, the first question that he asked, I got off. I was like, I killed that shit. I know I killed it. Excuse me. First question that he asked, he was like, hey, did you wholesale through the whole process? Like, did you do the whole process by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. He's okay. He said he'd call me back, and they never called me back. That's a different story for a different day. I was a little salty at them. I ain't gonna hold you. I was a little salty at them, but we still ended up working together. We closed the deal and helped me quit some stuff and whatever. But point is, they didn't call me back. I was a little salty, and then I got into the moment of me about to hire a cold caller, and then I started just been immersing myself in the wholesaling content and all this kind of things, just because that's what my life entails, right? So me doing that, it dawned on me like, wait a minute. That's why he asked that question. Did I do the whole process? I'm thinking he like, damn, this dude just killed. He did the whole process. But the point is, there's a difference between the cold caller, who's your first line of contact, and the acquisition manager, who's there to close the deal, get the property under contract, get it sold or whatever. The biggest difference is that acquisitions manager, what they should be good at, their skills should be building rapport and figuring out how we relate to each other and how we can provide a solution. We don't need to know, do you want to sell the property or close the property? We don't need to know any of that stuff. We don't need to answer the phone like that anymore. We don't need to answer the phone like, hey, is this Jim? Da, da, da. We need to answer the phone. Hey, Jim, how you doing? You spoke with Sarah earlier today, and da, 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 da. I keep saying Sarah, whatever. But my point is that's how you build that familiarity. That's the difference. That's the distinguishment, if you will, between that. So that's my biggest thing with my cold callers. They're here to bring me leads that just say yes. And I'm going to get, this isn't that training, but when I'm training my cold callers, I'll train them on how to pick up on certain non-verbal cues, whether it's just a tone in the voice. I guess that's verbal, but a tone in voice, whatever it may be. And if they say no, then you always ask, do you have anything else you're looking to sell? So little stuff like that, I'm gonna make sure I train them on. But for now, this is good enough for you guys, right? This is something that you really need to hear, something that you really need to see, right? And I don't think seeing it is enough. This is a deep dive. I told you guys in the beginning. All right. So qualify the lead. If we get no interest, we put them on a follow-up plan. Simple enough, guys. Always follow up with them. I just learned what a lead manager is for, and they're basically there to help with the follow up and all that kind of stuff, and also kind of qualify the lead. But yeah, this is a real thing. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. I can't stress it enough, guys. I closed my first deal after working, what I was working at. I ended up getting work my way out of that, and it was all through follow up because I stopped cold calling. That's if you wonder how I came across a deal when I was done with real estate, I stopped cold calling. It was only follow up. It was only, hey, Jim, we spoke last year. Are you still, you're interested in selling now? You ready? You ready? You ready? It was a bunch of that. All right. So VA sets the appointment if you qualify the lead and they say yes, right? And when I say yes, that means that, they say yes, right? So one kind of pro tip that I actually heard, I was watching, like I said, I've been getting myself back into the wholesale content. One thing that I heard is that a guy, he coached his cold callers to get the email address right here on the qualified lead, which, bro, that's golden. If you coach your cold callers to get the email address right here, you're going to understand why that's golden, because there's another place that you can do it, but it's better if you get it done right here. The way he did it is that he said, like, in case we miss you, in case we get disconnected, or in case we miss you, what's the email that we can follow up with you on? The guy had no problem. There was like a call that I was listening to. He had no problem giving an email. All right, I'm gonna explain to you why that's a big thing in a second. Hold on. So VA sets the appointment. So now once the VA sets the appointment, guys, you update the CRM. Your CRM is whatever you use, right? So your CRM is just whatever you keep your data. Some people use, Podio and stuff like that, or you can use like a Mojo Dollar. Mojo Dollar has a built-in CRM. Kind of recommend that your CRM is different than your dollar, depending on your business setup. But I would kind of recommend that your CRM is different than your dollar. But that's a different video for a different time, right? All right. So once the CRM is updated, now you just got like a little ping to your phone, or you got some kind of you are able to see that you have an appointment set to call this person back at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m., whatever it is, today or the next day, right? So now you see that the appointment is set because it's updated in the CRM. After you get it updated in the CRM, now what you do is you call back and you go through the script, right? Now, I say go through the script like you got one. I don't know if you got one or not, but when I first started, I bought a script. I don't even use that script. I only bought that script. It cost like $450. I bought that script as like a baseline, like the literal baseline for me to refer back to. This is before I ever closed my first deal too. I'm like, why the fuck am I about to buy it? But my point is, I invested into myself. And so if you would like a script, stay tuned into the channel, guys. Like, it's a lot of great content coming for you guys. But anyway, you go through the script. Now, your script, when you go through it, you're going to be taking notes as you're going through it, right? But now your script at the end of it, it can include something like, what's your okay, and then what's your, so let me see. I don't want to go too deep dive on this. So to not go too deep on this, what you're going to be saying is, basically, your cold caller, they call and just get yes or no. Now, when you call back, you're asking stuff like, is the property rented? If it is rented, is it on a month-to-month or a year lease, right? How much are they paying per month? What's the age of the roof, furnace, and hot water, and central air if you have it? These are the questions that needs to be asked. Nothing else. Nothing else. Guys, don't ask too many questions. I've seen it, and like, I'm not about to talk like I'm a damn guru or like I'm some type of multimillionaire wholesaler, real estate person. I'm not the guy doing $5 million a year wholesaling real estate. I'm not gonna cap. That ain't me. But I have seen people, and just from my years of doing it and my times of helping people, believe it or not, I've helped a few people. My times of doing this, I've noticed when people start asking way too many questions. I study a lot as well, but they ask way too many questions. Like, the questions, that one big question, please don't forget to ask it. And I now that I'm talking about this would be kind of like the example, like something I'll give my cold caller to ask. I might not even ask this, but basically, besides getting the right price, what's another reason you're interested in selling the property, right? The only reason I'll ask that is because you can weed people out so quick, right? Because when you ask that question, you get, that's what I just give you a couple examples. I'll go back to this. I'm back to this point, I promise. But to give you a couple examples, when you are in a point where people are cold calling, as far as like with the actual frontline cold caller, the yes or no person, the qualifier, right? Some of the nonverbal cues and stuff that I was talking about, you may get somebody that say yes, but they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'm looking to sell my property. Guys, we don't get that in our business. We don't get no home investors saying, oh yeah, sure, I'm looking to say, oh yeah, sure. Like, that's like 1 out of like 1,000, 10,000 calls. Like, I've had that before. But over the 100 deals that I've closed, over 6 years, Guys, I've only gotten that probably 1 or 2 times, and it actually ended up being a great deal. Now, let me explain further. Usually, when you get a person that's saying, "Oh yeah, I want to sell," oh yeah, they're saying, "Yeah, I want to sell for $5 million," like for something that doesn't make sense for the value of this property. Is what I'm saying. So they want to sell because, of course, I want to sell if I got the right price, right? So the thing that you teach your cold caller, or the thing that the first thing you say as acquisition manager when you pick up the phone is, um, and besides getting the right price, what's another reason you are considering to sell a property at this time? Or what's another reason you would like to sell a property at this time besides getting the right price, Mr. Seller? Soon as you ask that question, that'll take out the fluff from the real, right? So these are people, some people will say, well, no other reason for me to sell. I only want the right price. There was one, I had somebody say this to me today, literally today, like a couple hours ago. They were like, well, there's a property next door. He's like, I'm gonna just be real with you. I have no intention on selling, but there's a property next door that it went for a number that would make me turn my head. So I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't sound like you'll be the right, you're not a right fit for us. We're looking for somebody who needs, the property needs to have more work. I appreciate your time. And click, I'm hanging up because it's all about the time. I had to talk, like I keep saying this, but I did. I talked to one of my guys about this, and we talked about basically how wholesaling real estate, it's not about having the right list. It ain't about having the right lead, ain't about having the right number, ain't about having the right area, barely even the right market. It's barely about any of those things. You want to know what wholesaling real estate is really about? Timing. Timing. Literally timing. You will be successful in wholesaling real estate off timing. But don't forget that timing does constitute luck, right? Don't ever forget the role that luck plays in your life on a day-to-day basis, and also wholesaling real estate. I know that might have just went a little off, but trust me, luck, you're lucky as hell just to be watching this with me right now, whoever you are, wherever you're at. So luck, luck is such a huge factor when it comes to wholesaling real estate, guys. It has less to do about the leads, the lead source, all these different things. Guys, the reason why luck has to do with it is because you and me both can call the same person. They answer for me, they don't answer for you. Both of our phones pop up as spam likely. Both of everything that damn near everything is the same area code, same everything, right? Except I called when they were by the phone, you called when they were asleep. You called when they took a nap. You called when they were cooking. That's the only difference. So how do you become more successful in wholesaling real estate? You scale the time. You scale your time. You're not scaling the leads. You're not scaling the skip tracing. You're not scaling all these other things. You're scaling your time. And granted, guys, this is for pure wholesaling real estate. This isn't for like if you're playing the middleman game. Like if you're like you got another wholesaler and you're like wholesaling other wholesaler deals, then like, kudos to you. It works. I know it works. I've seen people do it. But my point is, you're not building a business because you're always dependent on somebody else versus you being dependent on your process versus being dependent on if I hire these people to call 8 hours a day or 4 hours a day for me, then I get this amount of leads, and these amount of leads convert to this amount of signed contract. This amount of signed contracts converts to this amount of closed deals. It's really impossible to do that if you're playing a middleman. If you're the middleman, it's kind of hard to do that, guys. So I go all the way back to say, the reason I say all of that is that timing is the biggest thing. So what do we want to do? We want to limit the amount of time we spend with pretenders and people who don't want to sell their house. The way that we do that is simply by stating, besides getting the right price, after we hear yes, besides getting the right price, what's another reason you are considering to sell the property at this time? Why else would you like to sell the property at this time besides getting the right price, Mr. Seller? However you want to phrase it, however you want to say it, ask that question because it's going to save you hella time. And time is the only reason you're successful in wholesaling real estate. All right. So call back, go through your script to kind of wrap that up. The beginning of your script, always when you call in, if you're the first person on the phone, it should be asked, like hands down. If you're the first person on the phone, if you don't have a cold caller, if you don't have, always ask that question. If you have a cold caller, it's up to you. You can coach them to ask that question, or you can ask that question as soon as you get back on the phone. Mr. Seller, besides getting the right price, what's another reason you are interested in selling? Boom. You should end that with after you get all the information you need, right? You always ask them, do you have a price range that you're looking to sell the property for? This is just free game, guys. Everything in between is what matters more than what I'm telling you, right? So because it matters how you get from that point A to point B. Kind of like I'm showing you guys right here. It's the same thing where you're talking to people on the phone. You have to guide them to point A to point B. As long as you're doing the guiding, they can never guide you or you won't close the deal. It's simple. That being said, though, if you're the one doing the guiding, then you should guide them all the way down to, hey, besides getting the right price, hey, Mr. Seller, do you have a price range that you're looking to sell this property for? They tell you, Hey, D'Angelo, I'm looking to get 50 to 75,000. If they say 50 to 75,000, then they want 75,000. But the fact that they said 50,000 means that they will accept 50K, right? But the point is that you say, okay, Mr. Seller, I appreciate the information. And what's your email address so I can make sure we get an official offer sent over to you? So the reason why this is so important, guys, is that there's a different people teach real estate wholesaling different way. Like I just said in the beginning, this is my way to do it. Everything you're hearing is just my way. They teach it so many different ways, right? This is all my way. And now I did give you the understanding of why this is my way. It's because I visualize wholesaling real estate as the basis of a real estate investment company. I don't visualize me just want to be the number one wholesaler. I don't want to be the number one wholesaler. I want to be the number one real estate investor. It's a major difference. If you're working and if you're the middleman, you will be the number one wholesaler. If you're working ground up from cold lead to closed deal, then you will be the source. And that's a major difference, all right? So let's rock out. When it comes to you being the source of the deal, when it comes to all of this, you have to understand that from my perspective, the more information you get on the phone call, the more it puts you ahead of other people, right? You're not the only person contacting this person, right? You want to get more information because now they're more invested into you. How many people you think called this seller today? I mean, if you're depending on the market you're in, 5 people, 10 people, 12, when depending on the market you're in, 2 to 20, right? Depending on the market. Fact remains is that how many people you think the seller gave their email address to? It's a major difference, guys. There's a ton of people who call him and they go even do the next step, right? They're gonna call back. They're gonna call back after they run the numbers and do everything. Then they're gonna make the offer. A lot of people are just saying, okay, you can't take the offer, boom, hang up. Can't do anything else. I'm always going to just the way I do it in my business, and the way that I just will always teach it, and the way that I'll preach it is that get more information as possible, guys. I've had one call closes, meaning that I've got seen the property, the seller told me their number, and I've been like, okay, what's your email address? I'm sending over the purchase agreement. What's your email address? Okay, yeah, you got to always make up a reason why though, right? Because nobody likes to feel like they're being played. Nobody likes to feel like they're being played. No matter how good of a deal they might think that they're getting, you have to make them feel like they're getting that good of a deal, right? They think they're getting a great deal. You got to make it reality. Yeah, you are getting a great deal. So my point is, nobody likes to be played. So therefore, you have to make sure that you get enough information from this seller in the beginning. Get enough information from the seller in the beginning, guys. Even if you get a great deal with the seller, you have to make it a reason why. I've had one call close. That's where I was at. A one call close, meaning that the seller told me they wanted 40,000 for the property. I looked at the numbers because sometimes I just keep people on the phone, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like on Zillow worth 100,000. 40,000 is a no brainer. I've been like, okay, well, you know what, Mrs. Seller or Mr. Seller, we actually just bought a property on X street near theirs. We paid like about 35 for that one, but you know, sounds like this property is around our condition. Let me go ahead and get your email address. We'll check out a few things, but if they look good, then I'll shoot you over the purchase agreement. I'll send you a confirmation text once it's been sent. How does that sound? So you see how I complicated that a little bit? Like I made it way more complicated than 40K is a great deal. Yes, take it. Give me a better. I complicated it a little bit, right? We usually don't do this. I mean, we kind of do this, but for you, we'll do this. We'll do all those little things, all those nuances, guys. It matters because nobody likes to feel like they're being played. Nobody likes to be taken advantage of. Nobody, all right? So this is how you run through that, all right? So you make sure at the end, like I said, get the email address. After you get that email address, you take the notes, you run the numbers, you call back, make the offer. Also, real quick though, make sure you read the room. If this seller's rushing, if you told them I'm gonna make this fast, because remember, if they are rushing, I'm gonna have to get my script for you guys. I had it like the whole thing. I'm gonna have to redo it for you guys. If they're rushing, you don't say I'm gonna hang up and call you back. You almost never do that. I don't care if they in the doctor's office. I don't care if they're at the funeral home. I don't care if they goddamn getting bro. I don't care what they doing. I don't care. You never, ever, ever let them get off that phone without getting your point across. Never. Never. Because the fact remains, you wouldn't answer the phone if you couldn't stay on for another 20 seconds. All right. So that being said, what you say is, okay, I'll make this fast. Just call in and see if you're interested in selling property on 123 Main Street. Click. You know, that's it. And then they say yes or no. They say yes. Okay, great. When's a better time to give you a call back? They say no. Oh, okay. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye. All right. Always end it. Do you have any other property looking to sell? if the time permits, because usually they say no and they hang up, right? But my point is always, even if it's fast, right? If it's too fast, hey, I'll make this fast. Just call and see if you're interested in selling property on 123 Main Street. Yes, I am. Okay, well, what time works best for me to give you a call back? Call me back at 4 p.m. Great. Thanks for your time. Click. Simple. All right. Always get your point across. All right. So once you run the numbers, call back, make the offer. If they're not accepted, you put them the follow-up plan. But this is why this is so crucial, guys, because a lot of people, if you wait to get the email address right here, then your follow-up plan is only consist of a phone call. Because they're not going to give you the email address. What's the point of giving it if they're saying no, right? If they say no, you offer 100,000, but I want 115. They're not going to give you their email address. You're a person they never met in real life. Why would they give you the email address, right? This is why you get it either right here when the lead is being qualified, or you get it right here on a callback through script, because you want to follow up plan. And you want to ask for less things if you make an offer too. If you got to make an offer, you want to be able to ask for less things, right? If you make the offer 50,000 or whatever it may be, guess what? If you already got the email, you already send the purchase agreement. You already assume the close. You already send that purchase agreement off. Now you're calling them back and saying, "Hey, Sarah," or Tanya, whatever it is. Hey, now they think I said, "Hey, Siri." Hey, Tanya, I just sent the purchase agreement over to your email. I'm just calling you back. We went ahead and made an offer. If you have a second, are you by your computer? I'm gonna take you through it. If they're by the computer, great. They pop it open. Now you explain everything, in detail. If they're not by the computer, you say, okay, no problem. But just want to let you know, we did offer $50,000. Closed by, November 7th. Closed by November 7th. And that does include us paying closing costs. How does that sound, Tanya? Well, D'Angelo, I love that. Okay, well, great. Just take a look at the purchase agreement and then get that back to me within the next. Well, just get it back to me when you can. And let me know if you have any questions. All right. And our purchase agreement, I ain't about to give y'all too much. I ain't about to give y'all too much game, bro. But all right. My point is that's how that works. All right. So if you already got the follow-up, if you already got the email, then the follow-up is it's seamless at that point. Because now all you can do is put them on a drip campaign with your email, right? So run the numbers, call back, make offer. Let's say they accepted your offer, right? You're a big stepper. They accepted your offer. Awesome. Now what you do is you send that purchase agreement, right? So now when you send the purchase agreement, guys, this is why this is why you need this. You need to understand this, guys, because you see all these steps. Like, do you see we've been talking probably damn near an hour, bro, and we're still not to a closed deal. So much happens in real estate investing that people just hear, I can make $20,000 from signing the contract from just one person to one person. It sounds so good. I was talking to one of my homies about this, bro, because he was just talking about, everything that he does in his day and then like how it's taxing on him. And like it sounded way better, but then now he's doing it. I'm like, bro, that's what everything. He's like, nah, I know the facts. That's what everything. So we both agreed on that. It's also why I'm slow to restart stuff. I believe in adding on, right? Because when you add on, you build on your foundation. All right. But that being said, there's a ton that's happening, and we're not even halfway through. Well, we're kind of halfway through it, actually. Not even halfway through it, because I have to do some more. Okay, yeah, we're about the halfway mark. All right. So send the purchase agreement. Just because you sent it, don't mean that you're about to close a deal. Just because you sent it, don't mean it's signed. Excuse me. Guys, when you send that purchase agreement, excuse me, and if your seller doesn't sign it, not signed, you see, you put them back on a follow-up plan. Hope is not lost, guys. Hope is not lost. Hope is the last thing to go, right? Hope is not lost because the seller has not signed your purchase agreement. You put them back on a follow-up plan. Things happen. Things happen, guys. I got a property that I'm dealing with right now. The guy swore up and down, I'm going to give you a call back no matter what. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. I done sent the purchase agreement 2 times. We've been in talks for a second. I just make sure I keep following up with him, right? I just keep following up with bro. Like, he gonna get back to me. I know he is sometime, whatever. But the point is, you get upset because you're like, yo, like, I just sent the purchase agreement. You're excited, but you got to understand, just because you sent that purchase agreement doesn't mean that it'll be signed. So don't get discouraged here. Put them on a follow-up. So much money comes from the follow-up. See, this is the thing about the follow-up. It's equally important here as it is here and as it is here. As you just skip ahead a little bit, as it is here. The follow-up is important throughout all phases of the business, throughout all phases of the cycle, throughout all phases of the process. The follow-up is the process, guys. You have to follow up. If you don't follow up because you think that you're annoying them, guys, you're not. Put it on a reasonable follow-up plan. Be a human. Be book smart, street smart. You won't like to be called 20 times in one day. Don't call them 20 times in one day. Do you call them one time a day after they already told you no? No. Why would you call them one time a day after you told them no? No, that follow-up plan will look different, right? The follow-up plan for leaving a voicemail is going to look different than the follow-up plan for a qualified lead who isn't interested. You're not going to call them the next day to say, are you interested? You're going to call them next month. The follow-up plan for a not interested lead looks different than a follow-up plan for sending the purchase agreement lead who hasn't signed it. Because now you're in business. We damn near in bed together. We damn near done did the do. I want to lay down. I want to get into it. I want to get in bed with you. You know what I'm saying? Your clothes are already off. Get in the bed. Get in the bed. Now I want to know why you ain't in the bed with me. This is how you got to think about this, yo. Your clothes are off. Put them in the bed, yo. Yo, what's going on? Now that follow-up plan is going to be way more aggressive, is my point. Your follow-up plan is going to be like, yo, I sent the purchase agreement. You know what I'm saying? You see it? Guys, there's a ton of follow-up gems that I'm not about to give to you right now, but I'll give one that I absolutely love. One of my, yo, I don't know weird stuff earlier. So when I said that, I realized that can be weird. But my point is right here, bro, you're right there. You do what you need to do to close the deal. All right, maybe that sounds better. Do what you need to do to close the deal. You're right here. So maybe it takes putting a little bit more effort in with the follow-up. That's all I'm saying. All right. Yo, my point right here though is that shit, what was I say, yo? You send that purchase agreement, guys, put the follow-up plan in place, and you follow up with them daily. And what the follow-up looks like, I'm not gonna give you, like I said, I can't give too many gems away right here. Please, if you get any value, hit a like for the algorithm, and also subscribe if you like more value. But one of the biggest things that I say is you haven't given up on a deal, did you? Did you give up on a deal? Have you given up on a deal? That's actually how I phrase it. Have you given up on the deal? I send that to the seller. If I've sent the contract or if we were in serious conversation, then I'm gonna send them a text. I'm hitting them with a call. I'm being like hyperbolic when I say every day. I don't mean every day. Maybe every other day, plus that text message, and then eventually you leave it alone. Then you put them on a week schedule. Then it gets to a 2-week schedule. But for a follow-up plan, you should be hitting your people at least once a month. But it works its way back from right here, the purchase agreement. It works its way back. You start off those first 2 weeks really aggressive. They're right there. You at least need to know what happened, right? All right. And also, though, have faith. That's another thing. You gotta have faith, guys. If a person tells you they'll get back to you, buyers are liars, sellers are liars. Both of them are liars. But the fact remains, like I said, every situation is not the same. You have to be able to read the room. If they've gotten back to you before, then don't just keep handling them. Maybe they got something going on in their life. And if they got something going on in their life, then you hit them up like, hey, just make sure everything's all right. I know usually you get back to me. Guys, you're dealing with people. That's what I love about real estate. That's why it's kind of like sales in general, but real estate is different, actually. Real estate is way different than any other sales, bro, because real estate, it's like you have this house. So we know what we want to get, right? We both got it. But now it's about just dealing with the person. You got to be charismatic with the person, guys. You're dealing with people. Even if it's another man, you have to be charismatic with that man. All right. Signed. Sent the purchase agreement. They signed it. Awesome. Now, what happens when you sign a purchase agreement? This is my process. Like I said, everybody has their process. We're about halfway through it now, but this is my process. So after I get a signed purchase agreement, instantly, I'm dispoing to all my pocket buyers. My pocket buyers are people that I've closed the deal with before, or people that I just like how they do business. And we've definitely closed a deal before. Like, not everybody that closed the deal before just gets these deals before I put them out. But I'm definitely sending to my pocket buyers. And it depends on the deal, right? This is not a blanket statement, but I'll give you the different scenarios. So you got the kind of deals that are closes, right? Kind of like what I explained to you. One call closed deals. Seller says 40K, it's 150K on the Zillow. You about to be able to sell that for 70K. That's just a clean deal. That's about to happen, right? So you're sending out to these kind of buyers, your pocket buyers, right? Other scenario, you're in a position where the seller has tenants in the property. When the seller has tenant in the properties, you ideally want to sell that on the first go around, guys. Some people might teach you differently. This is my bread and butter. I swear by it because I've done it and it works every time. You want to try to sell that property with the sellers in it. With the tenants in the property or the sellers in the property. If you want to sell the property occupied, you want to sell it on the first walkthrough. The reason why is because it makes it simpler. Simply, it makes it simpler for everybody involved, right? The seller, they don't have to keep scheduling stuff with the tenant. If you're the person talking directly with the tenant, you don't have to keep scheduling stuff with the tenant. But you and I both know that that's not how it always works out, right? And real quick, as far as the pocket buyers, the one caveat with pocket buyers is that depending on the deal and depending on the circumstances, you might take and also depending on your pocket buyer, you might take a hit, right? Because guys, even if you have a good relationship with a pocket buyer, sometimes they can't help but smell blood when they want to, right? So if you're in a vulnerable situation where they're like, damn, he might not be able to get back in this property again, and he's the only buyer going, and you might got the seller going, and you even got your boots going with you type shit. Like, bro, you put yourself in a situation for one, you're getting offered way less money than you probably would have had if you had a few people with you, right? A few people walking through. And for two, if you ain't got the boots with you and you only got the buyer going by themselves because you think y'all got such a great relationship, then you're risking the possibility of the buyer, circumventing you on the deal, meaning going behind your back directly to the seller, or the buyer just flat out telling your seller that, hey, I'm buying this property. And maybe not, they're not going to circumvent you, but they're at this point, you're not the buyer in the seller eyes. So my point is there are caveats to doing that, but the biggest thing is I say pocket buyers, guys, you need to have a relationship with these people. And you need to understand how much they value the relationship. You know how much you value the relationship. You need to understand how much they value your relationship based off previous experience and also based off mutual respect when you talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Mutual respect. So that being said, you dispo the pocket buyers with those caveats and understanding that who you're going with. I have great buyers, guys. I have a few great buyers that like I give them the deal. They don't care about what I'm making on it. They just worry about if it's a great deal for them. So that being said, guys, you dispo the pocket buyers. You want to ideally send your boots and your buyers together because your boots is going to be your middleman, your liaison, right? Your liaison. I say liaison. Your liaison, your e-liaison, whatever you want to call it. They're there in another form of view to make sure that the buyer is not doing nothing crazy, but they're also getting pictures and videos. You gotta, maybe you want pictures and videos for your website or for your marketing material, whatever it may be, to show you closed another deal. I've went through this because I'm actually in the process of hiring real boots on the ground, like real boots on the ground from the standpoint of like this is their only job to do. Um, and I've sold deals like the last few couple of deals I've sold, I've only sent my buyers there. And granted, I have a great relationship with these buyers, which I'm thankful for. But also, it's kind of a little challenge to get pictures from your buyers because they're like, nigga, like, I just went to the property for you. I just did all this. Like, you get your own pictures. Like, but shout out to one of my buyers, bro. He was a real G for sending me pictures. No, that's a real thing, bro. Real thing. It's like it's petty, but that's a real thing. You gotta understand how they might view it. Like, bro, I'm giving you this amount of money. I don't care what you make on it. I'm doing all this. You want pictures? Get your own pictures. So my point is, bro, ideally, you want to go ahead and send that boots on the ground with your buyers. All right. And that's to get mainly to get the picks and also to play play middleman. But if your pocket buyer is just such a great pocket buyer, and say you have to pay this boots, I mean, ideally, guys, this boots on the ground should be $100, $75 to $100 per go. No percentages for boots. No percentages for boots. But take care of them on the what's call it. And I just learned too with the boots that you might need to have two of them. You might need to have somebody who just do pictures and videos, and somebody who understands more of the business and the role that you need them to play. And that person, that you send in for more of the business role, there's somebody who understands that, that buyer is your partner. That buyer is your lender. That buyer is your contractor. That buyer is part of your insurance team. That buyer is not an actual buyer. So that person there is to reinforce and make sure everything goes together. This boots on the ground person, they might just be good at getting pictures and videos, right? But the point is that boots on the ground person, 75 to 100. The person who's organizing the walkthrough or whatever, you want to take care of them a little bit more. And that's what I'm still trying to work through, honestly, truthfully, in my own career, in my own business and process right now. But I just percentage wise, no, they don't give them no percentage. It doesn't make sense. All right. So this is buyer. So we see this buyer buys, then we go there. But let's say that the buyer that you just sent, your pocket buyer, they are not interested. This is why it's important to have boots on the ground, bro. Because I've put myself in situations where I've sent my pocket buyers to a property and they send me pictures back because I got that kind of relationship with them. But sometimes they haven't sent the pictures back and they just telling me I'm not interested. I'm like, nigga, I just said, Bro, you know how this business work. Like, you know how this business work. I just wasted a walkthrough on you. Like, so that's why it's important to have that boots, because you want to at least get pictures and videos. No walkthrough should be left vacant, just like how no phone call should be. You want to leave phone calls and walkthroughs with something, right? No matter what it is, you got to have something, be it tangible or non-tangible. So this being said, you sent your buyer there with their boots on the ground for the sake of this example, and they were not interested. So what you have to do next is have your boots organize the pics and videos. My boots on the ground. I love videos. I prefer videos, but I have to have a few pictures as well. So they need to upload this. Organized looks like, excuse me, Google Drive, or Dropbox. Yeah, Dropbox. Bro, I got hiccups. It's crazy. Google Drive or Dropbox. This is what you want your boots on the ground to do, to upload those pictures and videos in a chronological order to Google Drive or Dropbox. Once they upload them to Google Drive or Dropbox, now you dispo to all of your buyers, right? So now you sending this out to every buyer that you can think of, right? Every buyer you can think of. Now, there's different ways to do this. It's up to you, like 1,000% up to you. Some people like to just send it to anybody that they meet. You know what I'm saying? Any Facebook group, any stuff like that. I'll be transparent with my business. When I developed it and actually took it to the next level to where it allowed me to reach financial freedom. When I say financial freedom, it's not to say that, I got a passive $10,000 a month passive income. To me, that's real financial freedom. You got passive income coming in, meaning you don't have to do anything. The money's still coming in, or at least low maintenance income coming in. But the point where I made where I took off in my career is where I learned that you provide value by making your deals valuable, right? You provide value, you distinguish yourself in the market. You become the top dog in the market by making your deals valuable. Now, what does that mean? There's a ton of people out here that make a living off of Facebook groups, guys. When I first got into this game, I did it Facebook groups. I had a horrible experience, and there's a video on my channel about it, about like how Facebook group got nothing but sharks. I had a horrible experience, right? But ironically enough, I closed my first wholesale deal in a Facebook group. It was with a buyer. He was thankfully transparent enough with me to tell me he had a buyer. So it was another wholesaler who had a buyer, $8,000 deal. I split it 50-50. He got 4K, I got 4K. I quit my job, and the rest of it is history. That being said, though, when it comes to dispose to all buyers, you got to decide if Facebook Marketplace is for you. I personally don't believe it is. I don't believe Facebook Marketplace. You should consider that a marketplace for your deals, Facebook groups, any of that stuff. I don't think so. There's more, in my experience, fake buyers than real buyers in those groups. There's more people who are looking to daisy chain your deal, meaning they're looking to sell your deal off to another investor, than people who are actually looking to buy your deal right from you in those groups. Now, what you want to do, the way I love finding my buyers is really going through the county, or you can reverse engineer your process through Zillow, PropStream, whatever, all those different property sites. You know what I mean? So you find buyers that way. Ideally, you want to get on the phone with these buyers. You don't want to be posting it in a Facebook group. If you got an email list, you can send it out on an email list, but make sure you send the picture of the property, depending on the market you live in. Live in a small market, don't send a picture of the property. Don't send a picture of the front side of the property. Send a picture of the inside of the property, because you live in a small market. So they'll be able to tell, oh, the houses are built like this on this side of town. And then from there, it's really a Google image reverse search. So yeah, don't send your deal, whether it be like, try to limit the amount of pictures you send. And also when it comes to make sure you vet your buyers. I vet all my buyers. Any buyer I've ever dealt with, any buyer that ever got a phone call from me has bought a property before. I don't go off Facebook groups. I don't. I understand that there's people out there that make a living in Facebook groups, being other wholesalers that literally just look for other wholesalers to post deals on Facebook group. It's like, bro, they make a living off that. They making real money off of that. I'm not shouting like I ain't like no what's some call it giving. Like, they're making real money off of that. But my thing is, you ain't about to get rich off my back. I'd rather, do a real deal with somebody. So like, from the standpoint of like, I'd rather sell it directly to the end buyer myself, right? So granted, sometimes that doesn't happen for whatever reason. Then at that time, you probably go out on a Facebook group or whatever. I've had some of my deals that I can't close by myself. I've been able to close them through other wholesalers. I can't say I met them through Facebook groups besides that one guy. But yeah, I actually didn't mean not any of them that I work with the Facebook. Facebook groups are the bottom of the barrel. It's like somebody who just heard about wholesaling real estate. They scrolling through Facebook. Let me hop in a Facebook group. Oh, I can buy the property. Now they heard about this whole thing, guys. Facebook groups are bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel. So you dispo to all real buyers. All real buyers. All right. So now let's say once you dispo it to all your real buyers, let's say they're not interested. If they're not interested, you cancel that purchase agreement. So you cancel the purchase agreement. You got an inspection period. That's how wholesale real estate is done. Usually inspection period is anywhere from 7 to 30 days. Depending on the market you're in, it could be 3 days to 30 days. Sometimes it's 24 hours to 30 days, guys. Usually it doesn't extend beyond 30 days. It can be as little as 24 hours and as much as 30 days. Depends on the exit strategy you're using. Like if you're using a different exit strategy, maybe you're using I'm not going to go into all the hypotheticals, but my point is 24 hours, 30 days is your inspection period. Outside of that inspection period, your buyers, outside of that inspection period, you can get sued if you don't close the deal, for one. So make sure you cancel your purchase agreement and make sure that you write in your contract. I might do that sometime, get you on my contract, but make sure you write in your contract that this, make sure you write in your contract what constitutes a canceled purchase agreement. In my contract, it says via text, email, or phone call. Now, I always go with text or email just so I can have proof. Phone call, you really ain't got no proof unless you got, call rail or something, which records all your numbers, which that's a little bit advanced for you guys. All right. So that being said, after you dispo to all the buyers, maybe some buyers offer too low, right? You got one of your buyers, they didn't walk the property, they like it. You set up another walkthrough, you organized it, they went through, they walked it. You maybe got it under contract, let's say $80,000. They offer $70,000. Now what needs to happen? You got to renegotiate the terms or the structure of the deal with the seller, right? If it's $10,000 differential, then you can go back and, negotiate a $15,000 price decrease, $20,000 price decrease to seller. I've done it. I do it. It's really easy. A lot of times these sellers, like I said, 50,000, 75,000. These sellers have a number in their mind that they're okay with taking. So you go back and you test the water. Hey, I can't do 80, but I can do 60. Oh, D'Angelo, I don't know if I can do 60. You said, what happened to 80? Da-da-da. Remember, it's always, this is wrong with the property. This is wrong with the property. This is wrong with the property. You always go back to the property, right? If you're working with another wholesaler, right? You're going to go back to the other wholesaler. You're going to talk to them about that other property. What's going on with the property? You always refer back to the property. This is what I love about real estate. This is what makes real estate different than any other sales job, any other sales position, any other sales industry. You can refer back, like you as the buyer, you're in control. You're the power person, right? If you look at it any other way, you're gonna have a hard time being successful in real estate. You don't forget, whoever holds the bag, much like in life, whoever got the bag makes the rules, bro. This is facts. Now, don't think just because there's a ton of buyers in this market that you don't hold the bag. You still hold the bag. I want to juxtapose this to a different industry. There's a transportation industry that I was in. In the transportation industry, you're almost like a realtor to your client. And your client is going to be the person who has the goods or the freight or whatever it may be for you to transport. You're almost like a realtor. And this is what I'm explaining this because I want to juxtapose the difference between a realtor and a real estate investor, right? There's a major difference. All these difference, major difference. A realtor is of service. They're of service to their client. Their client is the seller or buyer. In the transportation industry, they were of service to the client. The client is the person who owns the warehouse, owns the products, and want to be shipped from X, Y, and Z, right? They're of service to these people. What does it look like when you're of service to them? Well, I can say in the transportation industry, you're down there begging for freight. Like you're down there like, please let me do it. Let me get one try. Please, 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 please. Like what the hell? No, that's something that, like I said, didn't just align with me morally and who I am as a person. Like I don't do that. I don't beg. Now I'm the person who makes the rules. That sound however you want it to sound, but that's the reality of the situation. And the reason why is because I have years of me in my head. I didn't purchase over 100 properties, bro. Like I've had to pretend I've purchased $1 million property. Like I've literally closed on a $1 million contract. I've had to in my head tell myself I have $1 million, and I had to portray that energy. A different kind of energy comes with I have $1 million versus please let me just try one thing, please. Hell no. That being said, the same with a realtor. That realtor, they have to be like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I can make the process easier. You don't want to sell to these investors because they're going to do this. I can get you the most money. I can do this. I can do this. I can do it. They have to sell themselves so much and sell their services. And there's so many people who got that kind of same service. Don't get it twisted. In real estate wholesaling, it's kind of the same as far as a lot of people, but there's a major difference. Let me tell you the difference. We'll get to it. They're selling their service and also they're on call. The seller says, hey, I need you to go meet my lender there at the property. Guess what? Yo, I better get there. You better get there. Are you losing that contract? You better get there. You better get there. Yeah. You better get there on time. Don't be late. All right. So you got to get there on time. You got to make sure you're there. Nothing wrong with it. I'm saying big ups. I'm just explaining why it didn't work for me to be a traditional realtor. The seller wants to go see your property. The buyer, they want to go see your property. Guess what? You better beat them there. The doors better be open. The buyer wants to drive to a different property. Guess what? You better follow them. You better lead the way. Like, don't you? I think you're kind of seeing what I mean now. You're of service to this person. Now, let me compare this to wholesaling real estate. Wholesaling real estate, you're not of service to anybody but yourself and your process. Let me explain further. When you're wholesaling real estate, guys, it comes with the energy that I'm doing you a favor by buying this property. That's the energy that you have to be successful in real estate wholesaling. Like, anybody that tells you otherwise, they've not been successful in real estate wholesaling. It's the energy that you're lucky to come across me. I told you timing, right? I came across you at the right time and you're lucky to come across. That's the energy. I'm not saying this is what you're saying. You're not talking like that. You're not talking like you lucky to have me. No, you're not talking like that, bro. But the energy, and guys, I mean, I'm a big person of energy. You probably can tell. I said it 20 times. The energy that you give when you're wholesaling real estate is completely different than and damn near any other sales industry or sales. When you're playing the middleman, probably not. Well, actually, yeah, because like I said, the transportation industry, guys, like you're literally begging for, like you're begging damn near for it. Just let me try one time. And the margins are so small, and you're begging for it. When it comes to being a realtor, I understand that if you have the personality that you like to, I feel like the person, like women, that's why women are really great at being realtors. And don't get it twisted, there's a lot of men realtors as well. But that's why when I was thinking about being a realtor, I was thinking about the commercial side because there's more of that investment side. But you're still going to be of service to people. And there's nothing wrong with being of service. You become successful by providing service. But in real estate wholesaling, you must not forget you're a buyer. You already got the money. So now what's happening is that the seller wants you to buy their property. They want you to buy their property at their price. You understand what I'm saying, bro? They want you to buy their property at their price and also their terms. They want you to do all that. Now, in your head, if you're not seasoned enough as an investor, as a real estate wholesaler, as any of these things, you might think, what makes me special? There's 1,000 other people that can do the same thing. What makes me special? Again, that comes from you not being seasoned when it comes to these deals, bro. I had to get over that hump too. I literally had to, bro, it took 9 months for me to get my first wholesale deal. Once I got my first one, it was only the $4K. I quit my job because I just had the faith. But my point is, I had to have trial and error and build up the confidence, build up the belief system that I really have this money that I'm telling this person I can buy it with. That comes with a different energy. That comes with you understanding that they don't have any other options. You're the best option. You're the best option for them, right? Like you are the option. There ain't no other options, bro. You the option. Tell you why. I'm kind of giving you some examples. So when it comes to real estate specifically, or when it comes to real estate and you being the option as a wholesaler, you being the source as a wholesaler, you're going to conduct this differently if you feel like they got options, right? So on a phone call, when a seller says, hey, I can close it, D'Angelo, I can just get 150,000 if I list it on the market. I'm just going to list it on the market, D'Angelo. I don't think, like, if you don't feel like that you can provide real value there, you'll let the seller get off the phone saying that, right? I've wholesaled this property. Actually, that's a text I got this other day. D'Angelo, I've been in the business for 55 years. I'm familiar with the game. I said, okay, since you've been in the business for 55 years, then you understand that you're going to be wasting a ton of money by giving it to your Matter of fact, bro, let me read the text message. Let me read the text message because this literally was so good. I was like, yo, but this, like I said, this is kind of coming to me. If you know, you know what I mean by energy. But this is coming to me when it comes to, here we go. All right. So he said, pay commissions. All right. So he said, forget it, not interested. So now say, depending on the information you provide, we may be able to do 125K. Are you available for a call? This is a standard step in the process before we purchase a home. He said, think I would just put my real estate agent. Think I would just put it with my real estate agent. I said, and pay commission plus holding costs? Question mark. Also, if the property is occupied, it'll make it more challenging to sell on the market. We only walk the property once and we'll close before the end of November and take care of all closing costs. We also buy with tenant in home. He say, I've been doing this for 55 years, so I'm not new to your game. I say, great. So you understand the value of closing with cash and not dealing with mortgage underwriters or appraisers. I've been in real estate for 8 years, primarily in the Cincinnati market. When you're ready to sell, keep us in mind. Thanks, D'Angelo. What am I begging for? What am I begging for? Bro, great. You've been in for, I've been doing this for 55 years, so I'm not new to your game, is what bro say. Great. Amazing. So you understand the value of closing with cash and not dealing with mortgage underwriters or appraisers. I've been in real estate for 8 years, primarily in the Cincinnati market. When you're ready to sell, keep us in mind. Thanks, D'Angelo. You know what I'm saying, bro? Big stepper. Like, that's the difference, bro. That's big stepper energy, bro. That's big stepper energy. That's what I mean, bro. It's a major difference. You know what happened? He sent me over the information the next day. All the information that I requested. So I say, good morning. Thanks for sending. Yes, they're getting a great deal on rent. Also, there's lots of deferred maintenance with tenants over 5 years. However, if they are on a month-to-month lease now, we'll take on the property with the tenants. We can meet you at $117,500, close November 29th. We pay all closing costs. If that sounds good, please reply with your email so I can send over the official purchase agreement. Thanks. This guy didn't want to get on the phone. That's why this all through text. So bro hit me back. He said, no thanks. So now, remember when I told y'all, this is actually perfect. This sums up everything I say, right? So remember I told you, like, yeah, you can talk big talk, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Like I kind of said that there was no questions asked, right? I'm a big proponent of that. When you don't ask questions, it means you're leading it because they don't have to text back. Thanks, whatever. So he says back, no thanks. Okay, let me talk with my partner, but to confirm, if we meet at 125K, are you ready to move forward? Now, at this point, I usually always do this, but what I'm doing right here is I'm explaining, like, basically getting them to say, all right, I do this 125. We ain't no delay with the signing the contract, right? So then I talk to my partner, quote unquote. I say, we'll do 125K. However, we need a confirmation. The tenants are on a month-to-month lease agreement now. Thanks. Day goes by. He texts me at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, sends me the lease agreement, and then send me over the email. All right, bet. So I say, thanks for sending. We just sent the purchase agreement over to your email via Dropbox sign. We set the closing date to owner before December 3rd. It'll likely be before. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. This was Saturday at 8:30. I put the cancel or the cancellation, or like he has to sign it by tonight, actually. So it's funny I'm talking about this. But I text him at 11:30 a.m. today and I say, hey, name, just touching base to see if you were able to review the purchase agreement and if you all have any questions. Thanks. I saw he reviewed it because the Dropbox sign that shows you. All right, so right there, you saw that big stepper energy. I ain't asking no questions, but at the same time, I had to give in to what he wanted, right? I gave him his price, gave him his number. But at the same time, I also got my closing date. You see, I moved the closing date from the 29th to the 3rd. So little stuff like that, biggest thing, come with the energy, y'all. All right, so we spent hella time on that, but I had to do the deep dive. All right, so once you renegotiate the terms and structure with the seller, remember I said you come with that energy, they go down to 65K. To go take it all the way back, 65K, and then you sell it to that buyer who wanted it at 70K. It was originally at 80K. You make I said 60K, so you make a $10,000 profit right there. That's how that works. Now, say that buyer comes back and they like, D'Angelo, this property is horrible. It's not worth 80K. I can do 45. Now what happens is you want to try to structure it as a land contract, if you can, if the numbers make sense. You want to structure this as a 0% interest rate land contract, ideally with no money down, but maybe you give them like a $500 and you want to have that end buyer put up $5,000, $6,000, right? And a small portion will go to their actual price. All right, so that's that. So renegotiate terms with seller. Now, the seller does not agree with your renegotiated terms. They don't agree with the structure. Then what you do is cancel that purchase agreement. All right. Once the purchase agreement is canceled, We're going to take it all the way up. So on both of these, right? Excuse me. On both of these examples, this is why they both lead the same way. Keep an eye if it sells within a month. If not, you cancel the purchase agreement or you cancel the agreement. You kind of just, excuse me, my bad. If not, you follow up, put on a follow-up plan. If not, you put on a follow-up plan. But keep an eye if it sells within a month. And the reason why you want to keep an eye if it sells within a month, you want to make sure that ain't nobody circumvent you. You know what I'm saying? And depending on how your business is set up, that matters. But like it matters legally, is what I mean. Like you probably got a clause if you got your buyers on like an NDA or something like that. If you got your buyers on an NDA and you can put a clause in your NDA that says if they circumvent your contract, then it's $50,000 per occurrence or $25,000 per occurrence, however you want to word it, right? And you can have like they can't contact this lead within 2 years of you sending it to them, or within like a year, or whatever you want to do. You can set so many stipulations in a non-disclosure agreement with your buyers. All right. My point is though, if you don't have that in place, let's say you're just a regular stepper out here, you ain't got, you sending it to, you reading the room, you know what I'm saying? You know what you got to do. You're sticking and moving. What happens is if that's how you operate in your business, then you don't have any necessary fallback. You don't have any necessary real repercussions, anything that you can do legally, right? You don't have any legal say so in the battle, but what you can do is cut them off, right? Cut their water off, bro. Don't deal with that investor again. Anybody ever ask you about that investor, you tell them exactly what you experienced and just drag their name through the mud because they ain't worth 2 cents. All right. This is my worst. I'm not about to go into it, but just know that I think that the game should be done. There's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. The right way is being upfront with your fellow investors. Notice I said with your fellow investors. My point is, bro, you can't play no investors out here, but that's not good. I like to be transparent with the sellers to a point. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so there it is. Cancel the agreement. Like I said, keep an eye if it sells. If it does, bro, like especially if you sent it to somebody and they bought that bit, you sent it to them. Oh yeah, so bro, what changed from when I got it and when I sent it to you? What changed? What happened? Then you hit them up and conversations need to be high. And if it's if you're fortunate enough to meet with them in person, then I'll say you should meet with them in person. And whatever happens. Because this is people's lives you playing with. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here we go. So dispo to all the buyers. We're gonna start here. So you dispo to all the buyers. Let's say you have somebody who's interested. You set up the walkthrough with the boots, and then the buyer buys. The buyer buys, and then we goes all the way back up here. You see, send boots like the original one. The buyer buys, we send it what's called an assignment contract, or if the deal was over, I don't know, 8K, and you don't, I say like 7, 8K. If it's over 7, 8K, and you don't have a great relationship with that, you don't have a great relationship with that investor, with that buyer, then you need to double close, right? If it's over 7, 8,000 and you don't have a great relationship with the buyer, I recommend you to double close because you don't want the buyer to know how much you're making. You know what I'm saying? That's ultimately why people double close. And also if there's no split HUD statement, my personal recommendation, don't go to the title company if they don't know what a split HUD is, and B, have a split HUD. Or A/B, however you want to put it, 8.1, 8.2. Guys, they don't have a split HUD statement. Don't use the title company. There's no point. There's so many title companies who do split HUDs. You don't need to use ones who don't. So, and usually the ones who don't, they're going to tell you it's illegal. And it's not illegal at all. So just ask them before you deal with the title company. Do you do split HUD statements? All right. So buyer buys. Send that assignment contract. Assignment contract just says we assign it. It does not say the price unless you make it as the price. It should just say what the final purchase price is for your buyer. All right. Renegotiate the term structure with the seller after the buyer offers too low. Now, what we do is seller agrees to new terms here. So at least the same place, send assignment contract. All right. So I want to touch on something real quick before we move on, because we're actually almost done here, about the next 5 minutes. Put on a follow-up plan. Guys, when you have canceled agreements, what that follow-up schedule looks like, for one, you already got their email. So you want to shoot them emails if you don't get them on the phone, or you can put them on a drip campaign, whatever works. But you should be touching base with them. I say, like, not the next month after you sell it, like not that next month, but I say like 2 to like 2.5 weeks. I say 2.5 weeks to 3 months. That's when you want, 2 months in that 2.5 months to 3 months is when you should be touching base with that canceled agreement. And guys, remember, Like this is only generalization. Have some book smarts, have some street smart, have some street smart, not book smart, have some street smarts, right? Be able to read people. If you cancel this agreement and the vibes was not right, then you might need to reconsider how you follow up. And what I mean by that is maybe it's not you who need to follow up. What I mean by that is maybe it's not you who need to follow up. Maybe there's somebody else who should be following up, right? Maybe there's somebody else who should be following up. And what that looks like, if you have a cold caller, great. If not, then maybe you have another investor homie, right? Maybe your other investor homie, he can follow up for you. He can follow up for you, hit him up like, hey, just seeing if you guys are interested in selling property on 123 Main Street. He has nothing to do with you, right? So the guys who know, you know what I'm saying? So I think you guys can see like this. Wholesaling is definitely a people person game. You know what I'm saying? People person game. You got to know how to read people. You got to know how to uncover what people want. I actually watched this thing. Actually, it was The Apprentice with Donald Trump. That movie is really good. You check it out. It was a thing, bro. It was so dope. He said, the Roy Cohen dude. He said, this is a land of men, not laws. Right. So it's the same thing with the real estate, guys. It's the industry of men, not paperwork, not rules, regulations, nothing else. Build a rapport with the person and you'll get a lot further than anybody else, right? All right, so seller agrees to the new terms. You send that assignment contract. So all of this is signed up. You see all of this leads back to here. Sign the contract. And with that cancel agreement, like we said, 2.5 months to 3 months, you're following up on canceled agreements. We good? All right, we good. Let's finish it off. All right, guys, the final big three, bro. Final big three. Here we go. So what you guys all came here for, bro. We all came here to do what? Get paid, right? There's a couple more steps that come before getting paid, though. Once you send that assignment contract, now everything is locked up, right? The purchase agreement with the seller locked up. The purchase agreement or assignment contract with your end buyer locked up, right? After that, it's only one thing to do. That's send the purchase agreement and the assignment contract to the title company. Communicate with the title company, send them everybody's contact information, send them everybody, right? Send them all the information that they need to have, right? Leases, excuse me, not leases, but deposit information, rent stuff, everything they need for the HUD statement. Send everything over. Once everything is sent over, what's happening now behind the scenes is that you're going through a title search. And now check this out. I want to kind of, because there's people who do this differently. Some people, they get this purchase agreement. Once the purchase agreement comes signed, they already start the title search, right? Let me explain why. Because right here, once you send this to title, depending on your title company, now here in Florida, I've seen people close deals within like damn near 24 hours. It's insane, right? The quickest I've ever closed a deal in Ohio was like 3 days. It was like a $5,000 deal, 3 days. And that was only because the buyer was ready to close. I went to this title agent who had nothing to do, and she was like, "D'Angelo, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this as soon as possible." I said, I didn't say her name, but I was like, "Yo, can you finish this as soon as D'Angelo? I got it. I don't have anything else. It was a really slow week for me." So she finished it in like I want to say like a day. Then we got the seller had some other little stuff to clear up, and we closed it out 3 days. So point is, depending on your market, in a market like Tampa, Central Florida, you can close a deal, have title work back 2-3 days. Market like Cincinnati, Ohio, for whatever reason, bro. Like I know that they can, if they wanted to, they can get it back in 2 days, bro. If they wanted to, they can get it back the same day. But for whatever reason, they take their time. They take their time in Cincinnati. And it's nothing against, like, my title agents are great. Everybody I work with, so nothing against them. But they take their time. I'm not gonna hold you up, bro. They take their time. You kind of got to be on them a little bit. You got to be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Title work back yet? We good? I don't understand why, to be real with you, but like, especially the only reason I don't understand why, it's like now I've seen deals get closed in Florida. I didn't close it here in Florida. But I've seen deals get closed in Florida in like 2 to 3 days. I'm like, bro, how? Like, I'm closing deals. I got deals still pending in escrow in Cincinnati, and I just saw a deal get closed before, I saw a deal get wrapped up and sold, visited, everything closed before my deal even gets my title company give me the title work back. So I say all that to say, if you get the purchase agreement, as soon as you get the purchase agreement, if you decide to send it over to your title company and have them start on the title work right away, then what can happen is, right when you send that assignment contract, if you got a buyer who's ready to close, you can close the next day or the same day because that buyer is already ready to close, right? Because you already got a clear title back, right? The reason why that may be helpful, I'm actually going through something right now with another deal, still in escrow. It's waiting on some stuff from the state. But you can get it ahead of the curve. So once you find that buyer, you don't have to, mess around, wait another 10 days to clear the title issues if something comes up, or 15, 20 days to clear some title stuff. It's like you can already get behind or get ahead of the curve. But if we go right here, and if we go here where seller doesn't agree or there's no interest, buyer not interested, and you got to cancel that agreement, then guess what? You sent that purchase agreement, but you got to cancel the agreement. Don't nobody work for free, big boy. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody working for free, big stepper. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay. You got to pay. So what that look like? Usually if you're not closing on a title deal, granted, I've never done that, to be real with you. Anytime I've ever sent it, it's because I've like had one of those deals. I'm like, yo, this is a layup. Like, yo, can you go ahead and get this started on me? I'm about to find a buyer. Like, I already knew it was about to layup, right? We're talking like $350 though. We're talking like $350 for title work. $300, $400. Now when you start adding title insurance and all that other stuff, transferring deeds, stamps, mortgages, all that kind of stuff, then that's when you add another 200 to it. So you can end up, spending, you can end up spending $800 on title work once you add everything to it, right? But yeah, so just to get the actual title work done, we're talking about, I'll say $400, maybe $500, depending on your area. But you got to decide, is that worth it, right? Do you want to just go and spend $500 when you don't have your buyer, because it can end here? So if you got money to blow, you know what I'm saying, do that. Do it all day. But if you don't got money to blow, you might want to wait until you get here to make sure it's an actual deal. So once the title comes back clear, then you arrange the closing. Usually your title agent arranges the closing. They speak with your seller. Myself, I enjoy sometimes, I'm saying, reaching back out to my sellers. I say sometimes, it really is sometimes. Sometimes I love for my title company to do it because it just adds to the professionalism of my business, right? So basically using a title company like a transaction coordinator down there, right? But there's a big difference between the transaction coordinator and a title company. But that being said, guys, arrange that closing. You call in your seller, hey, Tim, we ready to close, John, whatever. We're ready to close. We're ready to close on this date. Got great news. Title work came back clear. We're ready to close on the 5th. You ready? So yeah, and he's great. He's happy. And he meets up there, and you call your seller or your buyer. Your buyer does not have to go in person when it comes to closing. They can sign all work online, guys. This has been a great session, man. Like I said, closing day, biggest thing, bro. You want to get paid. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been a great session. If you got any questions, I hope you guys drop them down below. Let me see. Actually, I should have said that in the beginning, but we good. All right, no questions. All right, yo. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Until next time, as always, you know exactly what to do.